Hi there, I'm Nox, and today we're gonna talk about spraying and aiming in PUBG. Improving both of those things will not only allow you to win more games, but also enjoy the game more. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So first off is sensitivity. It's one of the most important things to set up, no matter if you're transferring from a different FPS game or you're new to the genre. If you keep switching sensitivity between the games and you don't set it up correctly, you're doing yourself a huge disfavor. So what you want to do is you want to go to those settings, you want to go to controls and set up your sensitivity. General sensitivity, aim sensitivity, ADS, and scoping at the same value. Universal sensitivity for all scopes should also be enabled and kept at the same value as ADS sensitivity. The only difference between those is ADS is about 1x scopes, like red dots or holographics or iron sights, and scoping is 2x plus. I do strongly discourage from setting individual sensitivity for all scopes, because basically what it will do is will just make it more disoriented and will make it harder to learn your sensitivity, because you'll be switching sensitivity with each scope, and that's just really bad for practice. And now the question appears, how do you find your perfect sensitivity and how do you know it's set up correctly? And the method I recommend is to get in a game training mode, go into first person, find a pole, and then just place your mouse in the middle of your mouse pad and make sure that your whole swing to the left or to the right is 180 degrees turn around in a game. This will allow you to have full motion of movement while also keeping your mouse precise with a lower sensitivity setup. Additionally, if you still want to do 360s, you can just make a full swing from left to right or right to left. There is still one more sensitivity setup that you can change, and that's vertical sensitivity multiplier. This changes your vertical sensitivity and allows you to control the vertical spray slightly easier. You'll find a lot of people going 1.2 to just ease it up. Personally, I keep it at 1 because I find it affecting my long range sniping. Another important thing to change in your settings before we continue is your keybind on aiming. More precise ADS, and even more precise the way you ADS. On default in PUBG you're gonna ADS by clicking right click and aiming like hipfire aiming by holding right click. The main reason you should change it is the speed of your aiming. Basically when you have ADS on toggle like it is on default, you ADSing on release of your mouse button. But when you have it on hold, you ADSing on click of your mouse button, which the second one is of course faster. So what we're gonna do is go and click on training. Next one we're just gonna click on training again. Just make sure the game mode is selected training and just gonna click start. When we already load into a game, we just wanna click on M and locate practice range. And we just wanna head straight in there. It's gonna be that huge green double door, which we can just gonna click F on to get into the room. Generally we should be alone here. Sometimes this bugs out for a second, but no worries, the guy with you will disappear after some time. So here we have two different firing ranges. One of them is just for practicing aiming and flicking, and the other one is mainly for spraying. Another important thing that's not only PUBG related but generally FPS related is the way you move your mouse. A lot of people just try to use their wrist and just don't really think about it that much, but truth is you should work on this. You want to avoid only wrist movement, you want to go with full motion whole arm movement. You want to move your whole arm to aim. What you can do with the wrist and fingers is just minimalistic correction when it comes to just slightest amount of pixels. But generally when it comes to flicking, when it just comes to general movement or aiming, you want to use your whole arm to be the most precise possible and just have the best experience with that. At first it might feel uncomfortable, but trust me, with time it's just worth it. Coming on to more PUBG specific topics, we're gonna talk about how to differently you can shoot your weapon. And that is single tapping, bursting, and also spraying. Single tapping is the slowest one but the most accurate one, so if you don't feel comfortable with spraying someone on a specific range, you should definitely single tap them or when they're standing still. Next on bursting. Bursting is something you should do when you not feel comfortable with a range but you want to spray a bit more, but also when you're just quick picking someone. When it comes to speed, it's in between spraying and single tapping. And lastly, spraying is just the fastest way to kill someone in this game, but also the hardest one when the range increases. So sometimes you might be faster to kill someone with single tapping than spraying, because well, you will hit your bullets as opposed to missing all of them. You can single tap and burst spray with every weapon. That is not a bolt action sniper rifle, but also some weapons like for example M16 don't have a full auto mode, only have a burst mode. In PUBG you will come across various attachments for your weapons. Grips and muzzle attachments can reduce your recoil and therefore help you spray a bit better. Currently the most effective ones for spraying are vertical grips and half grip, because they reduce the vertical recoil by a bunch. Angled forward grip reduces horizontal recoil and doesn't touch the vertical recoil at all. The best attachment for a muzzle you can get for spraying is a compensator, and it will reduce your spraying, your vertical and horizontal recoil by a lot. So the next thing is actually how to control the spray in this game. We differentiate two different recoils, which is vertical and horizontal recoil. Vertical recoil is something we can really affect with just pulling down our mouse. As for horizontal recoil, it's random, so it's reaction based for us to snap back to the middle point. Grips like angled help us with horizontal recoil, and half grip also helps us a bit with horizontal recoil but less with vertical recoil than the vertical grip. What you want to do is you want to move your mouse from the top to bottom at a consistent speed and just practice that. And this is the example when the whole arm mouse movement comes in. It helps you to just move your mouse in a consistent speed, and it just allows you to have more space to actually control the recoil on the mouse pad. The way you can practice is to use the board on the right side of the training room and try to hit 60 bullets in the general area of the board. It doesn't have to be exactly all middle. When the range improves, it's gonna be harder to get the more middle because of the random left and right horizontal recoil, but if you can hit 30 bullets on a target generally in the middle-ish area, then you're doing a really good job. And if you cannot do it yet, don't give up, you get there eventually, just take time. Another thing that's really important when it comes to controlling recoil is to understand that the posture of your character actually affects the recoil by a lot. If you're standing, the recoil is gonna be the hardest. When you're crouch spraying, which is something you're gonna be doing most of the time, it's significantly less, and when you go prone, it's even less, but you wanna avoid going prone in most situations because it makes you really immobile, and being immobile makes you an easy target. When you get a bit more practice with spraying, I would strongly recommend trying 2x spraying and 3x spraying. A lot of new people stray away from that because they think it's way too hard for them, but with weapons like a Scar L, UMP or a Bison, I think you can really get into those spraying, and it's really satisfactory to just spray someone with 3x on your weapon. The reason why would you like to 3x spray someone or 2x spray someone is you can have a better visibility of the enemy than with a 1x. And if you can see your enemy better, then you can probably hit more bullets. You are doing a bit of a trade-off here because you're basically having a harder spray, but you see your target more clearly, therefore you can maybe shoot him better. It's dependent on how good you got with your spraying at that time. Also, with higher magnification scopes, if you're shooting someone on a range that, let's say, might be running, you can also just start tapping if the spray goes out of control and just get better hits quickly, when if you would have a 1x, you would need to switch to a scope weapon, which would just take an extra time, which sometimes you just won't have. When you really want to put your skills of spraying to the test under high pressure, you should try out arcade mode. It allows you to choose your own weapon with all the attachments and just fight other players without the risk of just dying and going to another game, because you're gonna respawn. It's basically a team deathmatch mode. First to get 50 points wins. This game mode is really good for polishing your skills with a specific weapon that you've been practicing with, or maybe you just want to try out new scope on a weapon, you just want to see how it works under pressure. It's a really great way to just get the experience of gunplay in this game. Also, if you don't feel that confident yet, don't worry, you don't have to jump straight into PvP. You can also go in a game mode versus mods in a training mode, just find some bots to fight and it'll be way slower. Also, you can just go in training mode, try shooting around other players in there just to see how it comes out. But as for arcade, it's a really great game mode to just try out new things. To be talking more about weapons that I recommend to use as a beginner, there's definitely a Scar L. It's a pretty simple weapon. It's a 5.56 weapon. It flies fairly quick. It's an assault rifle. In this game you have bullet travel, and the bullets of Scar L go fairly quick since it's a 5.56. Scar L has a pretty low recoil as it is because it's a 5.56 AR rifle, and also it has a pretty slow fire rate, therefore it's perfect for beginners and just trying to learn the spraying in this game. If you think the weapon is too easy for you, you can try switching to other weapons or just removing some attachments from it, like a compensator or the grip, and just trying it out this way. It's also important to train your iron sights with weapons. You won't always find those attachments for the weapon. You might just be running sightless and that might screw you up, so practicing without a sight is also important. If you find this weapon too difficult though, no worries, I would recommend then going Bison or a UMP-45. Those are SMGs, so they're not that great on longer ranges or medium ranges, but they're really good up close. UMP is somewhat good on longer ranges, but the bullets travel really slow, so you need to predict the movement of your enemy way too much, and it's just way too hard to hit. But when it comes to the recoil, it's pretty simple to control. You can even put a 3x or try a 4x or a 6x on it, because it's just a really great thing to do. Of how it is to spray successful magnification scopes. As for the attachments on those SMGs, on UMP you can put in a magazine attachment, foregrip attachment, and a muzzle attachment, and of course a sight. When it comes to a Bison on the other hand, you can only put a sight and a muzzle attachment. Bison can be great for practicing faster fire rates, with lower recoil because it's just faster fire rate than a UMP, and also the bullets travel slightly quicker due to it being 9mm. The minus on the Bison on the other hand though is it hits for less because it's a 9mm, and 45 ACP hits harder in this game, so there are pros and cons for both of those weapons. If you want something that shoots slower and you want to practice just long range shooting with a sight, I definitely recommend UMP. It's the best thing to just practice as a beginner with a 3x scope for spraying, and as for Bison, if you want to practice something with a pretty low recoil but a faster fire rate than a UMP, then it's a perfect choice. There are many different SMGs that you could try out, for example Tommy gun, Micro Uzi or a Vector. The last two have incredibly high fire rate, therefore they are harder to control. Additionally, when shooting a moving target, you gotta remember to aim in front of him depending on how far away is he away from you. The bullets have their own travel time and you just gotta take it into your consideration. In summary, as for weapons, I recommend Scar L. It's a great AR for beginners. For SMGs, it's a UMP and Bison, very great low recoil SMGs. As for spraying attachments, vertical foregrip and half grip are just great for that. And if you prefer to tap a bit more than spray, I would go with a light grip. Helps you tap way quicker by giving you stability after shot and also resting your reticle to its initial position pretty quickly. As for sights for spraying, I would recommend red dot or a holographic, depending on your preference, although red dot takes less of your screen space. And also try 2x sprays or 3x sprays. They're really great and they're a lot of fun when you finally get a hold of them. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, make sure to like and subscribe because I'm gonna be making more tutorials. And also if you have any more questions, just feel free to ask them in the comments. Thanks for watching.